Hey, Drew, do you want to be a proxy? Okay. I have someone else that offered to do it if you didn't want to, is what I was saying.
I didn't even know I had that. Using the big. No, I see the unfortunately, I don't have the yeah, that's the one. Oh, yeah, I have time. Okay.
I now call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place Thursday, October 26th, 2023, with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations: the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. With that, Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will take it away with our first roll call.
All right. Atchison. Bellamy.
Here.
Biggs. Blood.
Here.
Broughton. Bruckner.
Here.
Cup.
Here.
Koch. Compton.
Here.
Cuesta.
Present.
Dennis.
Here.
Drotz.
Here.
Duntz. Fogel. Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Here.
Haynes. Hartzell.
Here.
Heatherman. Hoffmans. Holz.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Kirchen. Kidd. Kermer. Kinsey.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Melcher.
Here.
Moore. O'Malley.
Here.
Oury. Pelton. Peterson. Porter.
Here.
Rios.
Here.
Rivard. Rodriguez Melendez. Rogers.
Here.
Syed Carly.
Here.
Syed Nick.
Here.
Salmon.
Here.
Streetman. Strunk.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
West.
Here.
Winger. Wolf.
Here.
And Zapka. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brady. We'll now move into our first open period. For first open period, we have Provost Tabor. As a reminder to everyone, please close your laptops for our guest.
Well, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm Chuck Tabor. I'm the Provost and Executive Vice President and also a political science professor. So I'm really here, I think, to tell you what a provost does and what I do in that job. So the provost is the chief academic officer of the university. So it's my job to ensure that we have high quality programs that you can take, that our faculty are of high quality, that the academic policies that we have at the university are appropriate and support student success. Those are the primary responsibilities that I have in the academic area. I also have so all the colleges and departments do report up to me. So all the academic programs are under me. The other major part of work that I do is in supporting student success and recruitment and enrollment management and the registrar's office and all those things. But don't blame me if you've had bad experiences with any of that. Just let me know. Just let me know. But all those sorts of functions for student success also report up through my organization. So as you can imagine, with an organization that's that large across the university, I don't by any means do that alone, right? I have all kinds of important leaders that you work with, that you see all the time in other meetings and so on that report up to me. And they handle their responsibilities in these areas. Just as an example, if you're from the College of Engineering, the dean, Matt O'Keefe, is the one who's responsible for managing everything in that. And, so I don't have to micromanage everything that's going on in those programs, right? So those are the primary functions of a provost at the university. It's a great job. I always fight with Dr. Lane about who has the better job at the university. I have the better job than Dr. Lane. It's a cool job. Unfortunately, my wife says fortunately, I'm actually retiring at the end of this semester. So this is my last semester as provost at Kansas State University. I've been here for 6 years. It's been a wonderful time. This is such a special university. I will tell you that one of the things that makes Kansas State so special is the role of SGA and Student Governing Association. You probably hear administrators say this before, but it really is true that the work that you do and the way that you take up leadership responsibilities at the university makes this university so much better than it would otherwise be. I've worked at several other universities in my 40-year career. There's nothing like the way that students help to govern Kansas State University. So I do want to thank you for that. I've had nothing but pleasure in working with students since I've been at K-State. So I am happy to answer any questions you might have about anything. I didn't, Kate told me that I should wear a costume, but I actually haven't been home yet today, and I didn't think I could spend the whole day in a costume. Maybe I'm not cool enough to rock a costume for the whole day. Anyway, so what questions do you have?
Coordinator Navarro.
Hi, Dr. Tabor. I was wondering, what's your favorite memory of K-State?
Oh, wow. My favorite memory. There's so many. And every day I'm making new memories here. I think probably, my favorite memory of K-State is following COVID, and I'll call it the long diaspora, where we were all away and didn't see each other. And I got to tell you, it was a lonely time for us as much as it was for students. That first semester when we were back and coming to campus and seeing life on campus and seeing people going around, and we were still, be careful at that point, if some of you may have been here at that time, we were still, mostly wearing masks inside buildings and things like that. But that memory of people coming back to school was just the coolest thing, I think. Great question.
Caucus Leader Porter.
Yeah, Provost Tabor, I know one of the things when I sat on Faculty Senate last year that we talked about a lot was the micro-credentials. I know that's kind of something that you've been working on in your time here. Do you want to, talk about that a little bit? Or?
So faculty credentials?
Micro-credentials.
Micro-credentials, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Yeah, now I know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, so micro-credentials. I should have said that I also led the university's strategic planning effort over the last year. So I chaired that effort. So this new university strategic plan that I think is going to be incredible contains a lot of ideas that I've thought through my whole career are things that a university should be doing. Okay, I've had an opportunity to have a real influence on this strategic plan. One of the areas is micro-credentials. So over the last 10 years or so, a lot of universities have started to offer these small pieces of education. They're credentials that people can put on their resume, they can put on their LinkedIn site. They're most typically sort of professional credentials that people have to say that, okay, yeah, I'm an HR professional, for example, and I have a micro-credential in diversity HR management or something like that. And so universities are offering all these little pieces. That's not new. What is new, though, at K-State is the idea that we can offer micro-credentials to enhance the educational opportunities for everybody at the university, not just focus them on the sort of graduate level professional credential. We will do that. But in addition to that, we will be a university that has micro-credentials, a lot of them that undergraduate students can choose from to get an enhanced, focused area of interest in something that excites them. Okay, so somebody's interested in, I'm just going to pick coaching. Okay, so somebody's interested in getting a focused micro-credential in coaching. Let's say, for example, that's a student in our HHS college, and they're doing kinesiology. They may be interested in at some point in athletic training or something along those lines. They want to have a coaching credential as well. Well, we'll offer that. A student who's in engineering might say, okay, I would like to get sort of business light, if you will. I want to get some understanding of how to manage business. What if we offered, these are not minors, these are little pieces that you can take even with your other curriculum, okay? So maybe the equivalent of 2 courses, but split up into lots of 1 credit sort of pieces, okay, that you could do. They'll be offered in lots of different modalities so that people would be able to take it in person, hybrid, fully online, fit it into your schedules, all that kind of. These micro-credentials are going to revolutionize higher education. I do predict that 20 years from now, our degree programs are going to be composed of lots of small pieces of education that students are able to assemble into a fairly tailored package that's exactly what they need for their particular interests. I think that kind of a future is coming. We won't be doing away with the big degree programs that we have, but in addition, those degree programs will be divided up into smaller pieces, and students will have more flexibility in putting together these pieces of their education. I think that's going to be absolutely amazing. And just one last comment on it. I also think that there's going to be much more connection to universities across a person's lifetime than there currently is. So I predict, and suggested that K-State be the first university to offer a subscription model to our education. We're at a fairly low annual fee. Somebody can have access to all the educational pieces at the university as long as they continue to pay that low annual fee. I think that kind of a model would bring educational opportunities to people across their whole life. You want to retool for a new career opportunity, or you just need that little extra credential in order to bump up your career to the next level, get a raise, all that. You can do that at K-State and just continue to build your education going forward.
Time for questions has expired.
I talked too long.
Chair Cuesta.
I move to extend the speaker's time by 10 minutes.
Seconded. It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, time for questions has been extended by 10 minutes. Chair Blood.
What is your least favorite academic policy we have?
Favorite academic policies. So I'll pick one. I think that we have a policy we need to, I won't call it really bad, but it is, but a policy we need to change around how we reinstate students who have been on a leave or something like that. I think we have a very cumbersome process for doing that. It makes it hard for students to become reinstated fully at the university after a period of time. That's probably my least favorite. In general, I think that our policies are pretty good, but we also, just to be honest, we need to revise our academic policies. Just as we're revising our programs, we're creating all this new energy and excitement. We need to bring some of our academic policies into the modern age, because we do have some that are not. That's one.
I have a question. Is there anything that you hope to accomplish in these last couple of months as provost?
Yeah, so I'm working hard on some initiatives that come out of the strategic plan. I'll just give you one example. One of the initiatives coming out of the strategic plan is a promise that all students will have the opportunity to take a high-impact applied learning experience in the time that they're at K-State. Many students today have great benefit from doing internships or undergraduate research opportunities or education abroad, or there's a lot of different ways that you can have these high-impact, very special experiences that help you in your career. But we're not able to guarantee it to all students right now. Not all students get that opportunity, and we don't go out and raise funds to be able to help pay for the students to be able to do that study abroad program or things like that. In the strategic plan, we have a plan to by 2025, we say we're going to have that opportunity guaranteed for every student at Kansas State University. And we're going to be raising money through the foundation to help to pay for specialized scholarships for students that may need funding to be able to do those high impact practices. That's one. There's lots of these other things, but I'll leave it at that.
Mentee Glanville.
So going back to the low annual fee part, would that bar say older people from coming and auditing a course here at K-State?
No, not at all. Actually, I think that one of the things that's great about universities that I especially appreciate as I get older is the intergenerational connections that occur at a university. And I think that's something that we need to maintain. Actually, speaking of policies that I'd like to change, I think we need to make it easier for older citizens and older Kansans to come and take audit courses here at K-State. It's actually they can do it. We have policies that allow it, but it's not as easy as it could be. It was easier, for example, at my last university where we really promoted it. And I know as a professor there, I very often had a retired student in the class that was auditing the class. And boy, they brought a lot of experience and knowledge and ideas to the class. Those things were great. So I am a big fan of those intergenerational connections.
Coordinator Hoffman.
Yeah, I just wanted to address an allegation that I might have heard, might have made up in my head. Is it true that you're retiring to go on tour with your band, Chucky Trading Co.?
This is true. I were coming in costume, I would come as a long hair rock guy. That would be what I would do. No, yeah. So we're gonna start a tour. We're gonna start up in May, so we'll be releasing our second album in the early spring, and then going on tour starting in May, starting in Spain, and then Germany, and then UK, and then back to the U.S.
Can I get a follow-up?
Granted.
In the US, what locations could some interested students see you?
Yet to be determined.
Okay.
Check our webpage. Chucky Trading Company. Those things will appear as we schedule them. Right now, it's only scheduled for the Europe part of the tour. I would love to get back and play McCain. That would be fun, but that's not up to me.
Chair Sushanek.
If you were to recommend one of your songs for all of us to listen to, what's one?
Well, so the song that has gotten the most streams and was #1 in 4 countries is Honeybee. My own personal favorite for the songs on the first album is a totally different song. It's called Tumbleweeds. It's the last song, very acoustic. Maybe it depends on how it appeals to you, but it's mostly just acoustic guitar and piano and vocal. And so it's not really a rock tune. It's more of a country rock folk tune. That's my personal favorite.
Senator West.
What do you do in your band? Do you like sing, or what instrument do you play?
I play guitar and I sing. I write other songs. Yeah, I've been doing this forever though. I was a teenager. I was in rock bands growing up as a teenager. Before I went into academics, I was in a band called 3 AM that toured through the Southeast U.S. I was centered in Tennessee, and then I went to graduate school and became a professor and started this career as a faculty member. And what got me back into playing music like that was COVID, because my wife and I were trapped in different states during COVID for 5 months, didn't see each other. Sad, yeah. So I wrote a lot of lonely songs, picked up my guitar, played a lot of songs, and then my friend, who's a record producer, said he wanted to produce a record. I said, "You're crazy. I'm 60 years old. Why am I going to produce a record?" And he said, "Because I think your songs are really good and you should put them out." And so he persuaded me. We recorded the record, put together a band, and it did really well.
Are there any further questions for Provost Tabor?
One last comment on Chucky Trading Company. I did make a guarantee early on, just so you know, because I didn't want to sort of profit off of the record, that all of the proceeds from the sales that go with that record go to student scholarships at K-State.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, are there any further first open period speakers tonight? Seeing none, we will move into approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed on Tuesday along with the agenda and legislation tracking information. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Chair Cuesta.
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Okay, announcements. One, if you are interested in tabling for SGA, we are looking for senators to learn more about student interests. We did not end up getting that kicked off this week, but we will get that kicked off next week, so please sign up or reach out to me. 2, interested in serving on the Elections Committee, Commissioner Saya seeks members for the Elections Committee this term. Fill out the form if you're interested. It's a great committee to be on, but do know that you are not allowed to run for any position if you choose to be on the Elections Commission. 3, legislative advocates applications opened up. Anyone interested in advocating for K-State students in Topeka this spring are highly encouraged to apply. The application is due on November 10th. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the legislative director, Logan Cohn. The applications are linked in the agenda. Proxies, if you're going to be absent from a student senate meeting, please fill out the link, even if you aren't sure if your absence will be excused. 5, if you will be physically absent from Student Senate but would still like to attend via Zoom, please fill out the Student Senate Zoom request form. I will review the requests based on the Student Senate attendance policy. 6, if you want to give props to someone in Student Senate, fill out a Senate shout-out form, and Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will read them at the end of our meeting. 7, SGA Member of the Week is Brooke Dennis. Brooke has done an amazing job representing the graduate school and remaining engaged during our Student Senate meetings. Thank you for all of your hard work, Brooke. She's also the fantastic graduate assistant in the SPY office now, where our offices are housed. 8, the upcoming events calendar, and the quote of the week is, "A good education is a foundation for a better future," Elizabeth Warren. Now we will move into commendations. Just kidding, there are no commendations this week. We will move into approval of appointments. Is there a motion to introduce Resolution 23-2440? Chair Long.
I move to introduce consider Resolution 40.
Consider. It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
Resolution 23-2440, approval of new student senator, authors Brian Blood, sponsors the Senate Operations Committee. Whereas there's currently one vacancy for the position of student senator for the College of Engineering, and whereas Joseph Lilly has the next highest vote total of eligible and willing candidates in the 2023 SGA general election in the College of Engineering, be it resolved that Section 1, the following individual be approved as a student senator for the College of Engineering, Joseph Lilly.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion? Chair Long.
I move to approve Resolution 40 unanimously.
Second.
It is moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, it will stand approved. Joseph, you want to come up and get sworn in? I will have you raise your right hand and say "I will" at the end. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Student Senator and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association.
I will.
Okay, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, name, pronouns, major, hometown, favorite smell.
My name is Joseph Lilly. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas, both. I used he, him pronouns. My favorite smell is dryer sheets. Oh, my major is electrical engineering.
We will now move into committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Seeing none, are there any directors that would like to give a report tonight? Director Chufchi.
Hi everyone, my name is Ibrahim Chifchi. I'm the Multicultural Affairs Director for this year. I haven't been to Senate in a while, so I just want to catch up with everybody here, give some updates on what I've been working on. Most importantly, with ILC, the Intercultural Leadership Council. That's a council that is a direct link between SGA, MSOs, international students, graduate students, and administration. In the past, I believe ILC has been underutilized, so Student Body President Caleb and I have been working to get that restarted. In the past, it hasn't been really resilient to time. We would meet, like the council would meet, and then they wouldn't really get anything done. So Caleb and I made some structural changes. I guess the most crucial one being the Multicultural Affairs Director position, which is my position, becoming the permanent co-chair. And then in return, we are now having the DIB chair become a permanent representative from SGA. That's just, we want to get as many SGA people as we can, so SGA can be connected with different corners of campus. And I briefly mentioned we're going to meet with admin on November 6th, so we'll meet with Provost Tabor, and usually it is the president. However, due to circumstances, we will meet with Chief of Staff Stewart. Again, this just ensures that the ILC is directly connected with admin and student connections, concerns, and questions are addressed. Another update from my end is Jess and I have been working on getting an MSO SGA event, just a collaboration between two organizations. As I said, one of my goals this year is to increase SGA involvement in MSOs and MSO involvement in SGA. So we hope that this event really connects the gap, or I guess like bridges the gap. Again, I'll keep everybody here updated, but do please be on the lookout for that. With that being said, I also have some coming meetings. I'm meeting with Mirta Chavez, who's Executive Vice President for Student Belonging and Inclusion next week. I usually meet with her like monthly, catch up. Some of our MSOs had some concerns with some structural stuff, not only in SGA, but on the MSO side of things. So hopefully we can get that resolved. Yeah, that's it.
Are there any questions for Director Chifchi? Chair Blood.
Can you go into more detail about like the structural changes you made?
For the ILC?
Yeah.
So I really can't do it off the top of my head, but like I said, the most important one is the DIB and the Multicultural Affairs having like permanent positions within the council. In addition to that, we made the rules a little bit more relaxed. The council in the past has been a 2-year commitment. However, students usually fade out after 1 year, and a lot of students do graduate, especially because they're in leadership roles as seniors. So we pretty much eliminated that, and now it's a 1-year commitment. Usually we meet with the president and provost twice a semester. We also reduced that to 1, just because we would meet with them and then we meet them like 3 weeks later or something, and it really isn't beneficial and not a great use of time. And a lot of the changes were really small, like naming, nomenclature names. So the DMSA has changed to the Office of Student Belonging and Inclusion. We changed from the LGBTQ Resource Center to the Spectrum Center. There was something with international students, something with the graduate students. So we really just updated the document and made it a little better.
Do you have plans then to introduce legislation to update those within the KSU SGA statutes?
Yeah, I was actually looking, just talking with Chair Lynn. I was looking at the SGA website, like the documents, and one thing that really caught my eye, there's like governmental relationships, like the committee. So I think the documents I'm looking at are very old.
Yeah.
So I'll probably need access to the new ones, but yeah, that's definitely on mine, and that's something Peyton and I will work on definitely.
And we do have a form when you see things on our website that are incorrect to get those fixed with people who have added access.
Okay, you're gonna need to show me what that is.
I can send it to you. Are there any further questions for Director Chifchi? Seeing none, thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any further directors that would like to give a report tonight? Seeing none, we will move into approval of the allocations. We have, for approval of the allocations, we have Bill 232427, the allocation to the Asian American Student Union. They requested $1,362.20 and were recommended $1,000. We have Bill 28, that is the Black Student Union. They requested $1,000 and are recommended $1,000. And Bill 29 to the National Society of Black Engineers. They requested $400 and are recommended $400. Senator Strunk.
I move to approve the allocations. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, those will stand approved. We will now move into final action. Starting with Bill 232424, amendments to the KSU SGA statutes regarding diversity programming funds. Will the author please come forward? This bill was referred out of committee favorably, 10 to 0 to 0. Have any changes been made?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you have first rights to debate.
All right, hey guys. For those of you guys who do not remember this bill was brought up, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. But pretty much what this is about is just about rented clothing. So if you avert your eyes to B and enacted that on F, it just says clothing. Clothing shall include rented clothing in which its primary purpose is to add to the cultural significance of the event as determined by DEIB. That's the only change that we made in this. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Sometimes the clothing does apply to the event and applies to the cross-cultural learning of the event. Therefore, we should fund it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there any debate in the negative? Is there any further debate in the positive? And is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will move into a roll call vote on Bill 24.
Atchison.
Yes,
Bell.
proxy.
Bellamy.
Yes.
Biggs.
Yes.
Blood.
Yes.
Broughton.
Yes.
Cup.
Yes.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Koch.
Yes by proxy.
Compton.
Yes.
Cuesta.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Drotz.
Yes.
Dunce.
Yes by proxy.
Fogel. Glasscock.
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes by proxy.
Hartzell.
Yes.
Heatherman. Hoffmans.
Yes by proxy.
Holst.
Yes.
Jacobson.
Yes.
Kirchen. Kidd. Kermer.
Yes.
Kinsey.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Melcher.
Yes.
Moore. O'Malley.
Yes.
Oury. Pelton. Peterson.
Abstain by proxy.
Porter.
Yes.
Rios.
Yes.
Rivard. Rodriguez Melendez. Rogers.
Yeah.
Syed Carly.
Yes.
Syed Nick.
Yes.
Salmon.
Yes.
Streetman.
Yes by proxy.
Strunk.
Yes.
Sushanik.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Winger.
Yes.
Wolf.
Yes.
And Zacco.
Chair Long.
Point of order, I don't think Senator Lilly was called.
You're right. What is your vote?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Bill 24 will pass on a vote of 39 to 0 to 1.
Okay, we will move on to Bill 23, 24, 25, amendments to the KSU SGA statutes regarding speaking privileges of judicial branch. Will the author please come forward? This bill was referred out unfavorably, 3 to 1 to 0. Have any changes been made?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. The be it enacted section, there were a couple of pieces of information that just got cut from that, including the part about the language that said any person who is sworn in and approved by Student Senate. That line was cut, and then the line about advisors was also cut.
Okay, you have first rights to debate.
Okay. So there are several reasons that I think this piece of legislation makes sense, but the most important one I think we need to be considering tonight is purely for consistency's sake. Every single other member of our entire organization has speaking privileges in Student Senate. This includes cabinet members, all of the Phase 2 mentees, as well as student organization presidents who are not sworn in and approved by Student Senate. So there are a lot of people who have speaking privileges. And for consistency's sake, I think it just makes sense to extend those speaking privileges to the members of the judicial branch. Currently, both the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General have speaking privileges, but none of the members of the judicial branch do. I think regardless of whether or not one particular set of judicial branch members say that they want to have speaking rights to come in debate, it makes sense to have this be enacted so that in the future, if someone were to want to exercise those privileges, that they would have the ability to. As members of our organization, I think that it just makes sense to have that in place. And in the current state that we are at with our organization, I don't believe that we're in any position to be turning someone away who wants to come and interact with this body. So, if somebody wants to debate and make motions and they're part of the judicial branch, I see no problem with them doing so. And for consistency's sake, I think it makes perfect sense for them to have that ability.
Thank you. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there any debate in the negative? Senator Saya.
Why do people leave Senate? I know many people that have in the years that I've been here. I'm sure a lot of people in this room know someone else that has left Senate at one point or another. I think the answer vaguely is pretty simple, that whatever they're spending, however much time they're committing to this organization, is too much for the significance of what they're provided in return. There are plenty of jobs in our organization, like the speaker and the student body president, that have really intense time commitments, but they also have really extraordinary opportunities to meet with high-level administrators and speak on behalf of students here. So those positions are constantly sought after. But we know from the relative popularity of being senator that for a lot of people, what it costs is just not worth what it gives you in return. The way I see it, being senator has basically two jobs, and that is for all the time that we spend here and in committees to debate and to vote. So we spend a lot of time in order to get those privileges, and you'll hear a little bit more from me tonight on ways that we can reduce that amount of time. But really, those are our two jobs. That's what we get in return for our work. And I think the reason why I'm going to vote against this legislation is because as we extend that responsibility to more people, then we make being senator less valuable. If more people can debate, then that responsibility of voting, that ability to vote, is not characteristic of the Senate office. That means we reduce the power that senators have, and I am afraid that that only makes being senator more unpopular and less important. I want to ask everyone in the room a question, and that is, we have judicial entities that have their own designated responsibility. Would we give senators the right to try cases for other students? We would not, because that's a responsibility that takes A, a lot of training to do properly, and B, something that's reserved for people that deal with that business on a regular basis. That's their responsibility, and it should be protected. I want to speak directly to the judicial members in the room when I say that I absolutely think you should be able to contribute to the reporting section of our agenda and provide information in the same way that members of the executive branch do and other officers throughout the organization. Absolutely, they should have that right, because providing reports is not inherent to being senator. I have the legislation on my computer now that would give you that right, but protects the right of debate for senators. I think there's a really good compromise here, and I would invite judicial members to absolutely speak on this issue, on their perspective on this. But from what I hear, the primary desire is to have that reporting ability, to have more contact with this room, not necessarily to debate legislation in the same way that we do. Anyway, I believe that debating is an important privilege for senators, and I'm voting no to protect it.
Seeing as that was debate in the negative, is there any further debate in the positive? Attorney General Paulson.
Huh? I would love it. I would love one. This is you'll see, you'll see. Hi, folks. You all look so lovely tonight in your costumes. Just wanted to let you all know. RJ, I love your hat. I think it's real cute. So, little context. First of all, I want to thank the legislative branch for tabling this legislation to a week when judicial would actually be present, as it is primarily about us. Secondly, I want you all to know that the stars had to align for Elizabeth and I to be here right now. As of 8 a.m. this morning, I was going to be at Des Moines at this time. I ended up leaving a conference early, and we ended up having a couple of cases get canceled. And I think that context is really important to understand why we're even able to be here tonight. So in preparation, I wrote this little letter that was going to be read on my behalf to Student Senate, so you all had a better idea of where the judicial branch was sitting with this topic. But I still want to read my letter with you all recognizing that I was not going to be here and somebody else was going to read it, because I think that's important for what I'm about to say. So, without further ado, my letter. My fellow Wildcats, I speak to you tonight via open letter as I'm unable to be in person at Senate this evening regarding the topic of judicial speaking rights. Historically, this has been a hot take, but what I hope to share with you all tonight is relatively lukewarm. This evening is the perfect example as why there's a benefit of extending judicial speaking rights to board chairs specifically. Myself and DAG Chapman are unable to be present due to conflicting schedules, specifically conduct cases. Obviously not, but you get it. Ideally, one member of our branch would be present during every Senate, just as a member of the executive branch is often in attendance at Senate. Judicial's desire for a better presence in Senate does not come from a hunger to challenge the legislative branch, but rather to serve as a teammate, available to volunteer knowledge when that knowledge is requested. Quite frankly, if our members wanted to debate and make motions, they would have become senators. The judicial branch's goal through legislation such as this is in seeking transparency and accountability throughout the three branches. Just as directors from the executive branch have the abilities to give weekly reports in Senate for accountability from the legislative branch, it would be equitable for our board chairs to have the same opportunity in seeking accountability from the legislative branch through the ability of giving reports as well. This past week, I attended the Big 12 SGA conference and was once again reminded of how incredible K-State SGA is compared to our counterparts. I greatly value the work that our legislative and executive branches accomplish. My hopes for the future of SGA is that we continue to embrace the brain power behind these three branches and seek a more equitable future, one where voices are heard and respected for the sake of collaboration and a better K-State. With Purple Pride, A.G. Polson.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there further debate in the negative? Chair Blood.
So I'd like to reiterate what a couple previous speakers have said, in that the point is not to give speaking privileges, especially around debate. If you look on line 43, it is about debate. That's how we currently at least define speaking privileges, which allow you to speak really at any time during Senate. As you've even heard from a previous speaker, the main goal is to have that ability to speak during reports. As we've heard from speakers in the negative, that's even the ability. Now, if that's the main goal, then the way this legislation's written does not do that. So you have a couple options tonight, and that I implore you to do. You could vote no, table this, for the year, which I think is a good option. It nips it in the bud right now, and anyone could still bring legislation to kind of provide a partial part of that, right, to allow for reports. You could also, and as the chair of the Senate Operations Committee, I would welcome it, could send, kind of with the mandate from this body that we edited a little bit. right? We change it. In fact, you could even send it to a special committee, too, if you would like, on governing document revisions that would have inter-branch collaboration. And you, as the body, could refer this bill, move it down the table, postpone it for a little bit again, but do what everyone in the room is asking to be done. Allow people to make reports. Allow everyone to be informed about what's going on within all of the branches of our organization. I think that's valuable. I think that's really why in the initial onset of these rules, we allow for branch heads within the judicial branch to speak, to provide those reports. And as those branch heads have mentioned, there's sometimes a need for some other very important people, such as our committee chairs in this body, but different board chairs within theirs, to provide those same reports to us. And so what you can do tonight is you can refer this bill to one of two places. You could refer it to the Senate Operations Committee. You could refer it to the Special Committee on Governing Document Revisions. And they can then make those changes that this body, this organization, this association actually wants to have happen. We don't need everyone to debate. We don't need everyone to be able to speak at every single moment within Senate. We don't need everyone to be able to make motions and seconds. But we can allow them to inform us. And that is valuable, but the way this legislation is currently written does not do that. So I implore you to at worst vote no, and at best refer it to a committee so we can continue to work on this in the best interest of this association.
Seeing as that was debate in the negative, is there further debate in the positive? Is there further debate in the negative? Senator Griffith.
As you can see in section A, it says that that this legislation shall be giving judicial branch members speaking privileges, and if we could go down to section D. Section D, Part 1, individuals with speaking privilege having been recognized by the Speaker of the Student Senate may speak and or yield time to one individual without speaking rights. That means that members of judicial branch can already get speaking rights. They just need a senator to give it to them. They're not being permanently excluded. If they want to speak on something, they can be given that privilege.
Seeing as that was debate in the negative, is there further debate in the positive? Senator Fogel.
I think we should vote yes. I was an intern in 2018. We tried to pass this and it failed. Tried a couple more times over the course of my tenure. All 3 of those attempts also failed. I was a member of the Student Tribunal for 2 years, the Chancellor for 1 year. I think that what we talk about in SJ is we really want people to be involved from other branches from all over the place. This would increase involvement. I really don't think it's that big a deal, but if you guys feel so complied or passionate about it, I think I'd love to have a conversation with you. And if it is referred to another committee and we vote on it later, happy to share my opinions. Thank you.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there further debate in the negative? Is there further debate in the positive? Chair Lynn.
So I wanted to make sure I was able to address some of the points brought up by previous speakers. First, talking about the idea that senator positions are already not sought after and that doing this is going to make them even less sought after. While previous speakers explained that our responsibility as senators is to debate and vote and that we should be protecting that right, I think that would make sense in a completely different universe than the one that we're living in now. This only makes sense if senators were currently the only ones that had those privileges. That's not the case. So if we're trying to protect the sanctity of debate, then I think it only makes sense to ensure that our policies regarding debate remain consistent across the board. The historical precedent that we have set with our positions is that members of the organization who are approved and sworn in from Student Senate typically have speaking privileges. This extends to Phase 2 mentees who can quite literally be any rando off the street who goes through the intern program. There is no threshold as far as like being chosen, being voted on by the student body that gives them a higher right to debate than what any member of the judicial branch should be able to have. Same goes for cabinet members and student body or student org presidents, cabinet members, again, not elected by the student body, but they still have the ability to get up here and make reports and debate and make motions if they wish to. So if we're just comparing the positions across the board, it makes sense for that consistency's sake that we allow judicial members to take part in this as well. If that's not the case, then we need to take a much broader look at the way that we have speaking privileges assigned to other members of this branch. So I'm going to implore anyone who votes no on that bill, I would love to see some legislation coming out in the future that actually makes that consistent across the board, if that's the argument that we're going to continue to use. Secondly, while a previous speaker points out that the current judicial branch would like to utilize speaking privileges, mostly for report's sake, I don't think that that's the only place that these members can be valuable in our body. While the current, however many members of judicial branch think that is the way that they could best utilize these privileges, I don't think that necessarily means that every single member of judicial for forever is going to continue to think that way. And if they want to have those speaking privileges to extend to debate on something that they're passionate about, who am I to deny them that right? Our governing documents don't actually define speaking privileges beyond explaining what we can and can't do with them. So, it talks about speaking privileges as in context of giving debate, of making motions, of giving reports, but it doesn't define them any further than that. So again, that's another piece of this that we would definitely need to see some more legislation speaking on. So lastly, previous speakers also pointed out that speaking privileges may be deferred to members if they want to give a report or debate. And I really think that, if any member
Speaker's time has expired for debate.
You get the point.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is that
It's a question. Point of information, can you scroll up a little bit? So my general question is, do committee members, at-large members per se, on any kind of committee have speaking rights here in the Senate?
Yes, in the case that the thing at hand is something about their committee.
Senator West.
I also have a question. Has this been a big issue and the problem? Like, are there things that judicial members really wanted to talk about and they didn't get to because of this?
So I know that previously, judicial members have wanted the right to speak and debate as in previous speeches. So this has come up before, is what I'm going to say to not get debate-like. Chair Sushanik. Okay, seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there further debate in the negative? Chair Sushanik.
So, despite the fact that I don't think we should pass this bill, last week when we were debating on postponing it, I thought postponing it was a good idea. And I even gave my speaking rights to a person who I disagreed with on this but doesn't have a vote. That way they could speak on this bill as it pertained to them. And I think that that is the system we currently have, and that system works very well. If we have a judicial member who would like to speak, we grant them speaking rights. I think it says a lot about the trust that we put in our senators, that they will use those rights in a way that is fair, and allows all voices to be heard, even if they don't necessarily agree with the voices who are speaking. I also think since we already postponed this bill a week, it's very valuable that we look at referring it to a committee, or we kill the bill today and then we introduce something else. I think we should really carry through with the time we've already invested into this and make sure that what we're passing is perfect. I would love to see a bill come through that maybe has sponsorship from judicial members or was written by some judicial members, just to make sure that it's definitely perfect. And I don't think we should be passing anything in half measures, even if the system we have right now is flawed. I think we need to definitely take the time and make sure that we are putting our best foot forward. I also used to support giving more speaking rights to more people. It was actually the first legislation I ever wrote. It was an amendment to allow our interns to speak. One of the biggest arguments I got against that and why it failed was because those people are not required to be here when a bill is introduction. And that same thing is true for judicial members. They're not able to be here when a bill is an introduction. So I don't think it is fair to allow them to debate on that bill without a senator giving them rights. Thank you.
Seeing as that was debate in the negative, is there further debate in the positive? Is there further debate in the negative? And is there any further debate at all?
I have a question.
Yes.
So this has been reintroduced repeatedly, it sounds like. Could the judicial members get a senator to basically argue on their behalf, find someone that agrees with them, and get them to argue on their behalf instead?
That is the current system in place. Seeing as there is no further debate, we will move into a roll call vote.
Right. Atchison.
Yes, by proxy.
Bellamy.
Yes.
Biggs.
No.
Blood.
No.
Broughton.
Pass.
Cup.
No.
Bruckner.
Pass.
Koch.
Yes, by proxy.
Compton.
Yes.
Cuesta.
No.
Dennis.
No.
Drotz.
No.
Dunce.
No by proxy.
Fogel.
Yes.
Glasscock.
No.
Griffith.
No.
Haynes. Hartzell.
No.
Heatherman.
Pass.
Hoffmans.
No by proxy.
Hulse.
Yes.
Jacobson.
No.
Kirchen. Kidd.
Yes, by proxy.
Kermer.
No.
Kinsey.
No.
Lilly.
No.
Long.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Melcher.
No.
Moore.
No, by proxy.
O'Malley.
No.
Oury.
Can I abstain?
Yes. Helton. Peterson.
No. No, by proxy. There we go.
Porter.
So, here's the thing. I voted wrong for my proxy. I was supposed to be no for Atchison. I'm also no.
Thank you.
I didn't do this for a whole year. Give me a few.
All right. Rios.
No.
Rivard. Rodriguez Melendez. Rogers.
Yeah.
Syed Carly.
No, and I also missed my proxy vote. Yes for Haynes by proxy.
Yes for Haynes. Syed Nick.
No.
Salmon.
Yes.
Streetman.
Yes by proxy.
Strunk. Can you repeat that?
No.
No. Sushanik.
No.
West,
Yes.
Winger,
No.
Wolf,
No.
and Zacco. All right. Bill 23, 24, 25 will fail on a vote of 13 to 28. Oh shoot, I'm so sorry. We need to go around to the passes. Broughton,
No.
Bruckner,
No.
Heatherman,
No.
Kirchen, Pelton. All right. All right. Bill 23, 24, 25 will fail on a vote of 13 to 31 to 1.
Okay, next up we have Bill 23, 24, 26, recommendation to Kansas State University regarding the notice of deadlines. Will the author please come forward?
So I want to talk first about the changes that were made in committee because I think they're really great. So if you can scroll down, Ethan. The piece of legislation that I presented to you had specific recommended time periods for how long it should be for a person to be able to assign an assignment and the time period within which you couldn't reschedule something. Both of those things were changed in committee to just say that we should have a minimum period. It shouldn't be a week, it shouldn't be 72 hours. That decision was arbitrary on my behalf. Other people have different ideas over what that should be. And I think we found a good way to word that so that it leaves the power in faculty's hands to decide what that minimum period is. So long as we're clear, I think that's good. No other significant changes.
Okay, you have first rights to debate. Oh, point of information.
No. Was this referred out of committee unfavorably or favorably?
This was referred out favorably 7 to 0 to 0.
Okay, thank you. So, last weekend, I got my car headlight fixed. And I say that because we have car headlights for a reason. They provide us, as the driver during nighttime, a warning of what's ahead of us. My idea for a transparent academic system follows my fixed headlight, which is to say, a very strong picture of what's coming in the next short period of time. 72 hours a week, it doesn't matter. For some period of time, we should know what's in front of us. In that period, we shouldn't have assignments that come up out of nowhere, and we shouldn't have assignments that are rescheduled. Of course, we should have a policy that allows teachers or instructors to be flexible with their deadlines and permit extensions when necessary. I don't think we want to make legislation that says instructors can't have in-class quizzes. But for scheduled assignments, particularly those that you can have the material locked until a certain time, I think students should know, for the sake of planning their own lives around work and study and activities, what's in front of them. So vote yes.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there debate in the negative? Is there further debate in the positive? Senator Saya. Saya Carly.
I just wanted to let guys know why Nick and I wanted to write this. I had a friend get burned by this. She had a quiz due at midnight, and she was in class, and her professor moved it to noon, and she completely missed the quiz because of it. So yeah, we just wanted to prevent that from happening. That's all.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there further debate in the negative? Is there further debate in the positive? And is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will move into a roll call vote. Just kidding. We will move into a hand vote. All those in favor of the resolution, please raise your placards now. Proxies raised too. All opposed, same sign. The resolution passes. Seeing as we have exhausted final action, we will move into introduction of allocations. Will the author please come forward? Sorry, Senator Griffith.
I move to consider the allocations.
Second.
Will the author please come forward?
You can read them.
First, we have Bill 232430, the student allocation to the Associated General Contractors Student Chapter. They have requested $1,000 and are recommended $1,000. And next, we have Bill 232431, a student allocation to the Veterinary Business Management Organization. They've requested $1,000 and are recommended $400. Okay. We will now move into introduction of legislation. Bill 232432, amendments to the KSU-SGA statutes to economize open period. Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider Bill 32.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Will the author, Chair Long?
I move to consider Bill 31.
Second. Is that right? No, it's not. It's Bill 32.
Oh. Amendments to the KSU-SGA to economize. I'm looking at this piece of legislation itself as 31.
I see too. Because the previous one also.
It's wrong.
So it is a correction for the author on Bill 32. The one that is being introduced is Bill 32. The allocation to the veterinary business management is 31. It is just wrong on there. It is correct on the agenda, or the proper.
I withdraw my motion. Chase, you gotta do it too.
Yeah, I withdraw my second.
Will the author please come forward?
All right. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association should maximize the value of time spent by its members. Whereas Open Period, a legislated component of student senate meetings, offers members of the public or student body the opportunity to address KSU-SGA. Whereas Open Period speakers are offered 5 and 10 minutes to speak and be questioned, respectively. Whereas this time may be extended by majority vote. Whereas Open Period speakers, in practice, have a tendency to be offered unlimited speech time. Whereas social convention may prevent senators from respectfully objecting to a time extension, and whereas Open Period rules should be designed to prevent excessive time spent on non-business items of the Student Senate agenda. Be it enacted that Section 1, Chapter 2, Section 0203 of the KSU-SGA statute should be amended to read as follows. This installs that speaking time may be extended for a maximum of 2 minutes, and later on, questioning time may be extended for a maximum of 1 minute.
Are there questions or corrections other than changing the bill number? Chair Cuesta.
How did you determine the time length for this bill?
That is based on my belief that the reason why we should be extending things is to finish a point or finish a question, not to introduce more questions.
Senator Griffith.
You are aware that if you do want to move on with business, you can just object to it and then put it up to a majority vote.
When the person is standing right here, I don't feel confident enough to object to their right to talk. I think that there are very rare circumstances where we might want a person to talk a lot longer. I think that should be the procedure that takes a long time by suspension of the rules. I think it should be the norm that people are given just enough time to wrap up what they had to say and let us move on with our agenda.
Caucus Leader Porter.
Trying to find a way to not. No. Is it appropriate that we invite someone to speak and then extremely crudely cut them off in the exact time?
Well, this A doesn't cut them off. It allows them 2 minutes or 1 minute to wrap up their thought. But second, every single person that we have ever heard from in this room says, if you have any more questions, please reach out to me. As a matter of fact, I think it is better for the health of our organization if people from this room who are interested in a particular topic follow up after the meeting to continue to build that connection with people all across the university.
Senator Bellamy.
Yeah, 129 reads statutes, or I think it should read statutes.
Caucus Leader Porter.
What is the context in which people that speak during first open period say, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me?
When they're done talking?
Follow up? When are they done talking?
I'm not sure I understand your line of questioning.
Is someone done talking when the body has exhausted its questions?
I don't know what the right answer is here. Like, I think that people may have more questions. I think those questions have plenty of value if they're asked outside of this room.
I'm going to ask that we refrain from debate-like questions. Senator Griffith.
What would you say to people who have presentations for first open period that are a lot larger and more significant, that they want a lot of people to see, and yet they are limited, would be limited by this legislation?
Well, if there is a person that has a very long and large presentation that they want a lot of people to see, I'm not sure that this is necessarily the best medium for them.
Chair Cuesta.
When you were changing the statutes, did you examine the length of time we allow them originally, whether extending that or subtracting that from like the 10 minutes we allow them?
I did not consider that when I was writing this legislation. I don't feel uncomfortable with that amount of time that we offer for original presentation.
Chair Blood.
Parliamentary inquiry. Do speakers in either open periods have to be invited?
No. Chair Suchanek.
Would you be amenable to a friendly amendment that says maybe they have longer than just the 1 minute, like 3 minutes, 5 minutes? That way they can finish like more of a complete thought than just the 1 minute.
Well, what I've watched a lot of times is that if we extend it for 3 minutes or for 5 minutes, that they'll get asked more questions, and then they end up with more questions that they have to finish. So by the time it's all said and done, we've extended the time period by 2 or 3 or 4 times, and by the time the open period has concluded and all our speakers are done and we're moving on to the announcements portion of the agenda, it's like 7:45 or even 8 o'clock at night. To me, that's an unreasonable circumstance.
Time for questions has expired.
Chair Cuesta.
Point of information, can we extend the speaker's time?
Yeah.
That's what the spirit is.
Senator Griffin.
To extend the speaker's time by 2,763 minutes.
Object.
That has been. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh.
So it was moved, seconded, and objected. We're going to go to a hand vote. If you would like to extend it by like 2 days.
Can you repeat the number of minutes for the
2,763 minutes.
Thank you.
2763. If you are in favor of extending it by that amount of time, please raise your placard now. Proxies raised too. All opposed, same sign. That motion will fail. Chair Cuesta.
I'm going to extend the speaker's time by 2 minutes.
I object.
Whoa!
Okay, it has been moved, seconded, and objected to extend the speaker's time for questioning by 2 minutes. All those in favor, please raise your placard now. Proxies raised too. All opposed, same sign. I'm going to say that passes. Your time is extended by 2 minutes. Director Talbert.
Okay. This is a question I've been wondering in general. I think it's a question for Brady. Is it standard practice that we notify people when we invite them to speak how long they're going to have?
Yes. So every time when I invite a speaker, they receive an email the morning before Senate, and when I schedule it in the beginning, that lets them know that they have 10 minutes to speak and 5 minutes to answer questions.
Chair Cuesta.
Okay. My question is, the way the bill goes, is it that at each given motion can be made for 2 minutes, or a maximum of 2 minutes? Because how does it read?
So that's a fantastic question because you're not the first person to ask. It is my intention that speaking time may be extended for a total of 2 minutes at all. I think that there are different ways we can word this to make that a little bit more clear.
Caucus Leader Porter.
Would you be amenable to an amendment that says after the word minutes on line 36, I'm gonna get there. On line 36, a speaker may not speak for more than 12 minutes, a maximum of 12 minutes.
Yeah, I think
6
something like that
minutes
would be a
for
good
lunch.
change.
Do you want to make that a...
We can hash it out in committee, I think.
Okay. Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, thank you. Up next, we have Bill 2324. Nope, Resolution 232441. Support of a student-teacher tuition waiver. Will the author please come forward? Is there a motion to consider Resolution 41? Chair Cuesta.
Second.
Thank you.
Authors Drew Bellamy and Peyton Lynn. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association believes in affordable and equitable educational opportunities for all students. Whereas student teachers in the KSU College of Education are required to complete a semester of student teaching at schools across the state in order to graduate. Whereas the student teaching semester entails a full-time 16-week commitment, which students are immersed in the teaching profession. Whereas student teachers generally receive no pay during this experience. Whereas the student teaching experience is credited as a 12-hour course through KSU. Whereas student teachers must pay for 12 credit hours at KSU, despite spending little to no time in classes or on campus. Whereas off-campus internships and other majors are generally listed as a 1 to 3 credit hour class, making the tuition fees cheaper for students in these experiences as compared to student teaching. Whereas the financial burden of paying for a 12 credit hour course alongside completing a full-time internship experience without pay is significant for many students. Whereas student teachers at KSU should receive a tuition waiver for their student teaching semester. Be it resolved that, Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association recommends that the KSU College of Education issue a tuition waiver to all student teachers during their student teaching semester. Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Dean of College of Education, Dr. Debbie Mercer, Provost and Executive Vice President, Dr. Charles Tabor, and University President, Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Chair Long.
What is a student teacher's, what is their relationship with the university during that semester? Like, if you're student teaching, what is your actual, not time on campus, but interaction with anything K-State related?
Yeah, so the only interaction that we would have with anything K-State related is we'd have one advisor that is on the faculty staff. And I think that's similar to a lot of what other internships have, that we just have one advisor who occasionally does observations on us, but we don't have any relations with any other advisors other than that.
Senator Saya.
Point of information, we're also encouraged not to participate in any, extracurriculars on campus.
That's correct.
Caucus Leader Porter.
Would this include like a fee waiver for like the student services fee as well?
I'm open to that, I'm not sure.
Chair Broughton.
are you guys required to take, if you're proposing that we provide a tuition waiver for this, in the College of Engineering, if you take an internship, it's a 1 credit hour class, but you still have to make up those credit hours with other classes. Are you proposing that that be the case of this be 1 to 3 credit hours you pay for your student teaching thing, and then you make that up by taking other classes, or are you just providing that flat out the college should provide a tuition waiver for those credits that you're taking for student teaching?
Yeah, I'll put an example that's pretty relevant to you. Last spring, you did a co-op that was entirely off campus, and you still took a 1 credit hour K-State course. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so I'm thinking that it should be a very similar experience.
But you don't follow up. But you don't think that you should be able to take other classes in making up? Like, I've had to take the same amount of credit hours through K-State, even though I only took a 1 credit hour class. To graduate, I've had to take a total of 128 credit hours. You don't think that should be the case for you?
I'm not sure how that would affect academic calendar.
Okay.
Senator Griffith.
On line 21, it says that the student teachers must pay for 12 credit hours. How much is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyone get the math? About $4,000, someone says.
Follow up?
Granted.
Do you have any idea why they have to pay for that?
I'm not sure. I just noticed a discrepancy between like internships in student teaching and internships in other majors. And so I wanted to rectify it with this bill or resolution.
Senator O'Malley.
Are you aware of any other similarly sized universities that operate this way?
No, I'm not familiar with other universities' policies regarding the matter.
Senator Glasscock.
So is this proposing that the 12 credit hours, that they're still considered as taking 12 credit hours a full-time student, or reducing the number of credit hours to like a 1 credit class? Like, which one is the intention here?
This one is specifically to issue a tuition waiver. It would still be a 12 credit hour class. I'm open to either, but this one feels like a more solvable solution in the now.
Caucus Leader Salmon.
I guess point of information, like, I think it might function similarly to like the Missouri tuition waiver, where like students coming up from Missouri like get a certain amount taken off of their tuition. It's just in this case, like, all tuitions be waived or all fees be waived, something like that. So.
Sure.
Senator Heatherman.
Did you consider proposing any sort of way to make up for the lost revenue?
No, I did not.
Caucus Leader Porter.
Have you talked to Dean Mercer or any of the leadership in the College of Education about this idea?
Yeah, Peyton and I discussed this with Dean Mercer the other day.
Granted.
So,
What were Dean Mercer's thoughts?
Peyton, I can refer this to you because she mentioned it. What do you?
Yeah, so this legislation came out of a conversation that we had with her about our frustrations at having to pay $4,500 to go work a full-time job for free. And so she talked about, trying to improve scholarships and that they're putting a lot of effort towards that. They just don't have enough of that resource to be able to cover.
Follow up to my follow-up.
Granted.
Would you consider sending this to the head of the College of Education fundraising team at the foundation, or someone in development at the foundation?
I would consider that a friendly amendment to add that to Section 2.
I don't know what their name is. Peyton?
Greg.
It's Greg.
You can add send to Greg.
We'll get it. Senator Griffith.
Time for questions has expired.
Chair Lynn.
I move to extend questioning by 3 minutes.
Object.
It has been moved and seconded and objected to extend the speaker's time for questioning by 3 minutes. All in support of extending this time, please raise your placards now. Proxies raised 2. All opposed, same sign. I'm going to say it passes. You have 3 more minutes. Senator Griffith.
How many student teachers are there?
That's a very good question. I don't have the answer for you, but I can get that to you. It is not that many per semester.
Senator Glasscock.
Are there other ways that people in this program can get a comparable experience for this period of time?
Please limit crosstalk in the chamber.
Please, what do you mean?
As in, would they be able to pursue this opportunity if they were not in this like course load at K-State? If they weren't in K-State, would they be able to pursue this opportunity?
If one was not a K-State student, could they do this?
Yeah.
They'd have to do it through another university. You cannot like student teach without university sponsorship, as far as I'm aware.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Senator Lilly.
Can student teachers take like asynchronous classes during their student teaching semesters? Because the way that this is worded, I don't know if it accounts for non-student teaching classes they're taking during their student teaching semester.
I think in theory you can. I've never known anyone to do that in my time at K-State. It's a very like hefty experience that you're working a full-time job, so people tend not to.
You typically do not take it.
Chair Broughton.
Are there any other alternatives to this? So like, could you take something else instead of student teaching and still graduate?
Not as a secondary or elementary education major. You'd have to switch to educational studies, but then you wouldn't be certified to be a teacher.
Thank you.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Senator Heatherman.
Do College of Education students pay any college level fees?
No, they do not. It's the only college that has no fees.
Are there further Chair Broughton?
Would you be open to bringing this up with the Tuition and Fee Strategy Committee if you were to do this, that they implement a fee to pay for this?
I would be open to considering that. But I think that is neither here nor there regarding this.
Correct.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, thank you. Seeing as we have exhausted our introduction of legislation, we will move into second open period. Are there any speakers for second open period? Senator Griffith.
Seven to 10.
Yes.
Tomorrow, right here in the Student Union, room 209, Board Game Club. That is all. Never mind.
Senator Saya.
What's your costume tonight? I assumed you were wearing one since you're not wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Am I wrong?
I forgot that there was a costume thing, which is very funny considering it's the one night I don't dress up like Jimmy Buffett. Just my luck.
Are there further second open period speakers? Menti Alvarez.
All right. Sweet. Okay, I'm just here. I'm really short. Okay. I'm just here to promote that the bowling alley in the Union is going to be throwing a Halloween party. So you guys should come. Invite all your friends. There's going to be free bowling, free pizza, free drinks. I think we might have other stuff open. It's going to be awesome, guys. What else are we doing? It's going to be 8 to 10 in the Student Union on Halloween. Wear your costumes. Costume contest. So best costumes, we're giving away, I think Chick-fil-A is partnering with us to give out gift cards. I think we've got like other Union stores like the Subway, Qdoba, I think they're chipping in. And we might even give away like actual like TVs and stuff. So it's gonna be a major event. So please show up. Go Cats.
Oh, are there questions? Yep. Caucus Senator or Senator Compton?
Is there like a forum or anything online where these details are listed?
So we have flyers like posted everywhere, or you can check the Union website. So yeah.
Thank you.
Are there further questions? Saying none, thank you. All right. Are there further second open period speakers? Caucus Leader Solomon.
Hello, everyone.
everyone. So I'm part of Blue Key Senior Honorary. We are putting on an event called Night of Networking, happening on November 10th from 5:30 to 8 in the Bluemont Hotel. I think it's on the top floor, I believe. Many of you should have received an invite. I know there'll be more invites going out over the next week. It's a very cool event. It's supposed to teach you a lot about how to network more effectively. It's not really like a networking event in terms of like finding employers. It's more about the education piece. It should be really cool. I know I personally dislike networking quite a bit, and so hopefully the event will kind of reframe networking to help you understand how to better network in ways that make sense for you. So yeah, and it's free to go, and there's gonna be food there, so it's cool. Any questions?
Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you. Are there any further second open period speakers? Seeing none, we will move into Senate shoutouts.
All right. Did anyone else think that Chucky Trading Co. was an elaborate bit? I can't. Shout out to Wildcat Wind Power for taking almost 10% of Senate. Shout out to RJ Salmon for being real cute. Shout out to the Phase 2 interns. You may be random weirdos, but you're our. Shout out to the randos here tonight. Shout out to car headlights. Shout out to Nick for fixing his headlight. Shout out to Senator Compton for when I looked over and he scared the bejesus out of me. Shout out to Brooke for always being amazing. Shout out to Nick for writing all the legislation he's been dreaming up for the past 3 years. Is Carly Saya a vet or human doctor? Serious question. The way speaking writes is always the straw that breaks the camel's back. Chucky Trading Co. There's a lot of letters. Shout out to the deer who ate Nick's headlight. Shout out to the way Tabor said sad when talking about being away from his wife. Shout out to Matthew Melcher's Texas-sized chocolate brown cowboy hat. Shout out to Isaac Wingert's slightly larger Texas-sized black cowboy hat. Shout out to RJ's hat. Not RJ, just the hat. Shout out to Jack O'Malley's Halloween costume. Speaking time for shoutouts has expired. Shout out to Nick's collar. Not Nick, just the collar. Shout out to Jacob's double glasses. Shout out to Chair Cuesta for making prayer hands every time he makes a question or comment. Shout out to 2,763 minutes, aka 46.05 hours. Shout out to Andrew Navarro's dressing up as dude from Portland. Shout out to Brady for dressing up as a farmhouse pledge tonight. Shout out to Carly for the shade she threw. And shout out to Senator Saya Carly calling Julian out. That's all we got.
That was not supposed to be mean.
Okay, we will now move into reference of legislation. Bills 30 and 31 will be referred to the Allocations Committee. Bill 32 and Resolution 41 will both be sent to the Senate Operations Committee. We will now move into our second. Oh, Chair Blood.
I move to refer Resolution 41 to the Senate oversight, or strategic oversight.
I'm willing to just make that change. So that's Bill 32 going to Ops and Resolution 41 going to the Oversight Committee. We will now move into a second roll call vote.
Bellamy. Here. Biggs. Here. Blood. Here. Broughton. Here. Bruckner. Here. Cup. Here. Compton. Here. Cuesta. Here. Dennis.
Here.
Drops.
Here.
Fogel. Here. Glasscock. Here. Griffith.
Here.
Hartzell.
Here.
Heatherman.
Here.
Pulse. Here. Jacobson. Here. Kirchen. Kermer, Kinsey, Lilly, Long, Lynn,
Here.
Melcher, O'Malley, Oury, Pelton.
I'm here. I'm here.
Gotcha. Porter, Rios, Rivard, Rodriguez Melendez, Rogers,
Here.
Syed Carly,
Here.
Syed Nick, Salmon, Strunk, Sushanik,
Here.
West,
Here.
Winger, and Wolf.
Here.
All right, thanks, guys.
Is there a motion? Chair Blood.
Move to adjourn until 7 p.m. on Thursday, November 2nd. Seconded. Where? In Wildcat Chamber. Thanks.
It has been moved and seconded. Any objections?
It would be fighting.
I know.